just like that. It's on and crack. Once again, welcome to that here show. Stories written by a current prisoner with your favorite journalist, Tony. Just real quick to the people out there, I sincerely appreciate you guys' support. Thank you once again, for taking the time out of your day and watching the show and keeping the show alive. Man, as always, man, I have one interesting guest. He's been dropping a lot of heat lately, a lot of bangers, man. How you doing, brother, man? How you doing on this lovely evening?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing very good, man. I just want to say thank you, man, for doing what you're doing, man. And you've been providing us a lot of interesting stories, man, a lot of real scenarios, real people, man, that have lost themselves in that lifestyle. It's very unfortunate, but thank you for letting us know, man, the reality of what really goes on behind those walls.
Nah, it's my pleasure. Like I say in my videos, I do it with the intent that I'm able to open someone's eyes.
100%, and that's exactly what we're here for, man, to let people know exactly what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, man, don't lose yourself. Please check yourself before you wreck yourself. And anybody out there that has any questions or want to be asked, please drop them in the comment section. This is a Q&A right here. Please, man, feel free to drop a question. So first question, coming from Quiffy, where did you go to prison for, man?
Well, when I caught my case, it was a double murder and 3 attempted murders, discharge of a firearm in city limits, and gang attachment. But I got sentenced. I got sentenced as a juvenile. So basically, they sentenced me to 2 life sentences, but it was one a juvenile and one as an adult.
Of course, and you know what? That segment in itself will be a story, ladies and gentlemen, in the near future. So be on the lookout, man. Another question that he had was, is there any conjugals?
Conjugal business?
Yes, sir.
Well, there's none, but I will get into that. That will later come out too as the stories unfold.
Another subscriber by the name of Dan H. What is a Billy reference to?
A Billy? A Billy was Nahuatl for señor, someone with high respect, which in this case is, a big homie, an army member.
Another subscriber by the name of John G. Have you ever heard of Fox?
Fox from Saulos?
I'm assuming that's who he was referring to.
Yeah, I did one thing for him, and it was with Trusty from Saulos, and I was in Corcoran. Right when I got validated, he was right there with us in B-side. That's a story to come by soon too.
Is there going to be any stories coming out of the 805 area, Ventura? And that's from Frank Rodriguez.
Yes, there's actually quite a few stories, but those are not as old as the ones I'm putting out right now. I'm trying to basically put my whole story out there, so I'm doing it through phases. Like I went from Ironwood to Tehachapi, Corcoran, and then so on and so forth. And I was for a while doing some things for the camarada or the señor out here that's evil, But I'll put those stories out there too. I don't like to jump the gun and say something and then leave people in the blank. I like to just, when I'm going to get out there, get it out there,
100%. So you heard the man, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be a lot of heat coming in the near future. And, man, thank you, man, once again. And, those were all the questions that the subscribers had, left in the comment section. But me, myself, personally, I striked up a few more. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you some of the ones that I striked up real quick. And, based off the people who you've encountered, man, who is a true tactician? Who's one of the smartest mobsters that you ever came across?
Which one of them?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think they're all as equal, but there's a couple of them that are more greedy. and there's quite a few of them. Like, for example, if the people that tax the most, well, you have to look at, Artie, um, Wetterstern. You There was quite a few of them actually, but like money makers, well, there's quite a lot of them. Like for example, Peanut Butter was one of them. He had restaurants out in Chinque, Rosarito, Tecate, all that area. And then the San Diego car, man, a lot of people don't talk a lot about them, but they got a long reach, man. Like that, like Chino Madrigal, all them guys, they really money makers.
And now, when we're talking money makers, man, like how much money are we talking here? How much money is being generated?
Well, so let me give you an example. When I hit Pelican Bay 2, the the strong one up there, the powerhouse up there was Weatherford. Without taking anything from any other carnal. But Weatherford, man, he was everywhere, literally in California, man. He had cruising cities, neighborhoods. He had a foot soldier in every pinta. Um, so he had money coming in from everywhere. And we're talking about, like, let's just say a good neighborhood could maybe get you from $5,000 to $10,000 a month. But when you have 20, 30 of them, and you have prisons, and then you have dealings with, BAT and the cartels in Mexico, and just imagine how much money is coming in.
What's the most amount of money that you have seen made real quick in a transaction inside a prison?
In one transaction?
Yes, sir.
That would probably have to be about 20 kilos of Negra, and that was well, at that time they were going for about 32,000 each kilo. So, just, and that was just one hit quick.
Another question, man, that's always been lingering around in my mind is there a mob influence in Northern California, in northern cities?
Well, nowadays there is. Nowadays there's in every city, to be considered, in Northern California. There's in every hood. Like, for example, where I come from, right now, actively, there's 3 of them there. And then you have all the little towns like around it that they all have their senor they answer up to. So they're everywhere. Plus, you got all the senores that have been recently made that they are from Northern California. But it goes back even further because, well, when I was growing up, there wasn't that much activity, like political mafia in my town. But we knew of them, and we knew there was one in Frisco, there was one in Tahoe, there was one from Hayward, one from Richmond. So at this time, and I'm talking about from 92, 93 and up, there was already 4 senores that were running the area, The ones that I knew from 92, 2 of them came from Sureño neighborhood. And 2 of them came from Norteño's neighborhood. Well, not Norteño's. These 2 actually were made before the Norteño Sureño trip, But there's been a whole bunch, like Acha from Sacramento. Acha from San Francisco, and then the Señor from Sacramento. That's my area, the area. But then you also had like Fonzie from Fresno. There's always been señores who's just, they came before the Sureño ways, Norteño.
Before the peace treaty, Did you ever hear of any dealings between the NS and the M?
There's always been dealings that, not to the extent of a peace treaty, but there was always, that mutual respect, and there was always either a señor and a carnal from the NS that were always behind the doors in conversation on how to build something like what happened, what is nowadays. But yeah, I mean, up in Pelican Bay, that's all they had. They had time to plot, in a sense that they all knew that keeping this war alive was just going to keep them in the shoe. So yeah, there was always talk.
Have you ever seen or heard of someone, family member, get in trouble by the mob? Like them not necessarily being a gang member, perhaps maybe they were passing something in a visiting room and they just happened to get caught, or anything like that. That rings any bells?
All the time. I mean, for example, those that are in the known, they should know. Like you could have for example, your hyena come up and bring you dope first and you're 1, 2 times. The next thing you know, you want to stop. Basically, you do it as a favor the first 1 or 2 times, but you can't. It's just impossible. Once the señor sees that you're capable of doing it, then you're obligated to it. And if not, then they start like sending messages to your hyena on the outside visiting, or that trust issue comes where they know where to drop it off, so they know where your girl is, they know where your family's at. It's a lot more treacherous than a lot of people see it. Like a lot of people see the señores as something. They don't mess with families, they don't mess with kids, and that's not the case. It's just that the people that they mess with, they don't speak about it.
Have you ever seen someone pick up life inside of prison?
Pick up what, excuse me?
To pick up a life sentence inside of prison. Maybe they went in there for a 10, 15-year charge. However, they were coming home. However, they picked up a life sentence for one of these people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like in my last story, I mentioned about Loquito, from Bakers. And that he did right there, he picked up like 23 years. But later down the line, he actually pulled some other hits, and he ended up picking up a life sentence. But it happens all the time where it basically don't matter. It's just all this nowadays is fine and dandy to go up in there with a sureño suit and or with all this asset. But when back in my days, when you went up in there, you had these things, and it didn't matter how much time you had. If you had money, you're going to earn them. Which that meant someone had to get dealt with, you were going to be front line. And and there's been a lot of cases. I have a homeboy in New Folsom in the 180, and he went in there with 2 years, and to nowadays he's been busted about 27 years. And because he ended up doing a favor for Alfie, and it cost him a life sentence.
Is there somebody that sticks out in your mind that checked in, that surprised you?
That checked in, that
wow,
surprised me?
I can't. Yeah, you're astonished that this person checked in.
Okay, well, like in my next story, I'm going to tell this little story how this Senor Garfield from Orange County, he came down, and basically when I got validated behind this guy, and how it all went down. But I was really surprised to hear about him. Another one, Artie. Artie was a big shocker to me, to be sincere, because dude, man, he had a lot of power. He had a lot of people working for him, and I think he had a lot more 18th Streets than a lot of the big homies from 18th Streets had working for him. So when I heard he had dropped out or checked in, that was a surprise. Another one was Boxer, you know, 'cause he was everywhere too, you know. He used to think he was God on earth, you know. But there's been quite a few of them, you know, that have checked in that I was surprised, you know. Like, for example, I was surprised when Pelon from Northside Orlando dropped out because he was a soldier, man. He was a warrior, you know. And I mean, he caught a life sentence for taking someone out in LA County. He was about it. So when he dropped out, it was a surprise to me. But there's been actually a lot of them that I see crop out that I would be like, damn, you know, like that. You know, like when they clipped Tigre from Avenues, that was another one. There's been quite a few of them, you know.
What is the silliest reason that you have ever heard of someone getting hit? A ridiculous reason.
Man, I gotta say, I gotta take it to that I seen personally. I gotta give it to Gino from Maravilla, you know, and to HBCU. He took a homie's career just because he was fishing on the tier. It was, you know, this came a time where the homie Toro from Bucamonga, he was there. Everything was pretty chill, and then next thing you know, Chino took over, and then you couldn't talk back to sell, you couldn't fish. Basically, the senor was he was angry, you know, because he had gotten caught, gotten more time and shit. Yeah, excuse my language, but yeah, he basically took a homie's career just because he fished. I believe it was a soap to a homie that needed a soap to take a bird bath. But then he fished without permission. He took his career, and this was a young homie too. So that was probably the silliest thing.
You know, what's the word? What's the word on Popeye? Why did it happen?
Popeye, it could be for numerous reasons, you know. Like one was that, you know, he had a lot of territory up there. He was making a lot of money, and he wasn't sharing what he was supposed to, you know. Because greed hits him, you know. Because even if he was sharing, he wasn't sharing what they felt they were entitled to be sharing. And another one is because he was sticking his business where he shouldn't have stuck it, you know, like I think he was sticking up for those guys that took out Tonito, and when it states that no friend is supposed to let him against a made member, and that was another reason. And then, you know, greed, man, greed. You know, even though I personally think that, you know, the Florencia Carnales, they're good gente, they have good hearts on them, towards camaradas, everything. They still wanted more territory, you know. And I think Popo's territory was just too close, you know. They wanted it, and I think that had a lot to do with it too, you know.
What about Weddle Green? And why did his wife have to get hit too? Like, what's the word on that?
Well, with Weddle Green, there was always talk that his wife started talking to the police, you know. Somehow, I always thought that she was trying to do some shady stuff. For example, you know, sit on some money and just check in, you know. And I really think that was why she got involved too much. And I think Weddle, what happened is he basically messed up giving her that much power, you know. It just came to a time where they were really pushing that line, you know, that you couldn't give no more no more hyenas that much power, you know. Yeah, they could assist you. They could be helping you wiggle this and that, but you can't give them authority over camaradas on the streets, and that's what this happened in this case, you know.
Have you ever came across females or known of females that were heavily influential, like you just stated? Had dudes hit, had dudes removed.
Oh yeah, you know, like I come from an era where we didn't walk the main line with the carnales, you know. If you wanted to meet a carnal, you would have to go lace up, boot up, and go out to yard and handle your business, pick up a shoe term and hope you run across them, you know, because even though you were in the shoe, you still had to go to the validated side to run across them. So basically, when you were in touch with a carnal, you had to go through a señora, you know. Everything you did, you had to go through the señoras, you know. You got at them, and they will resolve it for you, period, you know. So I ran across a few of them that almost every carnal I was under, the three-way was a señora, so, yeah.
And what kind of people are these señoras? Like, can you tell that they're just as cold and as vicious as these dudes are?
I mean, some cases, yeah, but some cases they just look like they got in something that they were curious about knowing, you know. They weren't about that life, but they turned out to be. But hell yeah, they're as killer and as vicious as they are. I mean, there's some of them out there on the streets that they don't even go to a señor to call these shots, you know. That's why you see a lot of big homies' heads fall, you know, because señoras consider themselves with that much power to start pulling homies' careers and stuff, you know, have homies killed, torturing and all. So yeah, they're as bitches as they are. I mean, they're in that life for a reason, you know.
Have you ever heard of a NMA member being deemed no good and somehow managing to get back in good graces?
There's been quite a few, you know, but gangsters from Avenues, Puppet from 18th Street, up in Pelican Bay. I mean, I remember Stomp was in Shady Standings for a little while, and then his uncle brought him back, and then he checked in anyways. Recently, I heard that Tootie came back, you know, but I don't know. I don't know about Tootie, to be sincere, but yeah, there's been a few cases. The thing is, you know, even though if they let him come back, the question is, would they have that status in the M still, or do they just allow to come back as sureños?
Have you seen it happen before your eyes? Like, have you seen someone come, make their bones, and literally become one of them?
I haven't seen it, to be sincere, you know. I haven't seen it. I know, you know, guys that they earned their bones, and eventually, like I mentioned before, you know, I come from an era where you weren't around too much of that. You had to be in the shoe. So they earned their bones, they went up, and the next thing you know, you heard they were blessed, you know. They had it got it made. But they're being made all the time, you know, like when I hit Court Cream, but it was on 4 block. I was in 3 right, and in 4 block you heard of a camarada got made there. Also, when I was in Seaside in Pelican Bay, you heard of a camarada got made over here, but in B-side. So they're being made all the time, and you know, lately they've been allowing a lot of guys in, you know, and a lot of them don't earn them. you know, so that earning your bones ain't as valuable as it used to be, you know. Like back then, you had to literally earn them. You know, not only know how to make money, but you had to know the program. You had to be straight with the ranfla. You know, you had to be a killer. And nowadays, as long as you know how to make money, that's all it takes, you know.
You being from a northern city, but actually, being you being from a northern city, but actually, being from a Sureño gang, has there ever
hmm
been southern on southern funk up there in Northern California? And if so,
Oh,
why?
oh yeah, there's always been fun. You know, at the end of the day, you're out there game banging. But for example, like in my city, you know, I had one of my homeboys took another homeboy from a different neighborhood. They got an argument. My homeboy took his eye out, and next thing you know, we went like on a 3-4 year war with each other, you know. And but it was a lot different. Like for example, where I grew up, we had that agreement amongst each other that we couldn't lift up on arms with each other. Like we could always run up on them, beat them, and just go about our business. But we had that agreement. We don't pull knives. We don't pull guns. We just fuck up like man, you know. And, but yeah, there's been always fun. But there is those big cities like Frisco, San Jose, like Richmond. You know, there's no norteños in Richmond, so all the fun that does happen in Richmond is between homies and homies. So yeah, there's always fun.
What is your perspective on the new SNY gangs that have emerged? And well, they've been around for a little while now, but now it's starting to spread like wildfire. They're starting to get released. They're starting to get out here in public and society. You know, independent writers, true fivers, you name it, zapatistas.
Mm-hmm.
What is your perspective on them, man? Will they continue to grow, even out here on the street?
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah. That's gonna continue. It's gonna continue to grow, and it goes back to the basics of what I've been saying. You know, that is just there's a lot of vatos on that side that don't deserve to be on the side that got done dirty. So, you know, for a lot of years, I always thought, you know, pesetas, the bitches, and or excuse my language, Sony, but or their PCs, you know, their this and that. But the reality of it is, there's a lot of cats out there that with the business. Like, I'll give you an example, man. When I was on A yard in Ironwood, there was a vato on the yard that he was a hardcore killer, man. Straight up. I probably sent this cat like to 6 different missions, and homeboy pulled him to the thought. Never hesitated, went in, hit, and got away with him. And next thing you know, he decides to basically do something that went against Terco, and it wasn't enough for Terco to pull his career. But at the end of the day, you know what they decide is what's going to be dictated. So they ended up moving on him, and next thing you know, homeboy decides, you know, I can't go against everybody, and he locked it up. But of course, he went to that side with that grudge, you know, that anger against that MA or even the homies. So it's understandable that a lot of them got back there with anger against the movement, and they started forming all these groups. Which, if you look at it from that point of view, you can't really hate on them, you know. Or at least, you know, I did it all my whole life, so I know that there's a lot of vatos over there that shouldn't be over there, that were righteous, did everything to the dot, and they still got done dirty. So they started their own thing that went against this, like MNF, whatever, and you can't really blame them, man, you know? they really have that anger in them, and so what I think about them, I really think nothing of them, to be sincere. My respect goes out to everyone, and yes, there is a lot of winning S and Y yards, but there's a lot of vatos that are with it too on the S and Y yards. So I don't agree with it, not whatsoever, cause, but I also can't blame them, man, because it's a lot of them over there because of it, you know.
Do you think that at one point in time, perhaps maybe they'll drop the 13 and the 14? I know it's kind of sounds.
It's gonna change, man. My opinion is, the homies are gonna get tired, It's just like the norteños. Norteños are tired, man. Most of them don't think about, the M or the NF and the doing. But everyone's tired, At the end of the day, we're all grown men. So how's another grown man going to come and tell me what I'm supposed to do with my money, what I'm supposed to do every day? Or I'm supposed to give you my money for you to stick it up your vein, and it's going to get tiring, man. In my case, I never used that type of drugs, man. But to be sincere, there was a lot of shady stuff I seen, and it just got old, man. I'll be straight with you, and I never PC'd up, man. I never told. I have never locked it up, and up to 6 months ago, I was still functioning. But exactly 6 months ago, some shady happened to the point where I said, man, I'm done, man. I'm old enough to say, you know what? You vatos are shady. No, excuse me. But I will also get into that, and I will also state where I'm at and everything in the surroundings of why I pulled out. But just do know, I have never been on a PC yard. I never told. It just got old with me, man. I assisted this guy to the fullest, and I got done dirty. And it was just like, oh, it's just part of the business. He. And I just said, you know what? It ain't like this no more, man. I'm done. So I just pulled away. But I'll get into that story too.
Do you feel it's a lot easier for people to get hit now due to the fact that they're released? Now they have access to phones. Now they have access to. It's a lot easier for them to really communicate and send messages.
Oh yeah, I mean, the minute you do something, it gets to where it needs to get ASAP. So whereas when back in the days, you had to either get at the señora and had the señora get at the señor and wait for the reply, and it went through letters, BCD. Now it's just a call away. So definitely, it's a lot easier.
All right, my friend. With those questions being asked, man, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time out of your day, man, answering this question. For the people out there that are listening, man, please, man, drop a question. We will be more than happy to answer it, man. With that being said, bro, is there anything else that you would like to say?
No, I want to just thank everybody again for listening to my stories, and I'm glad that everybody has positive things to say. And as I always say in my videos, value those that really deserve to be valued. Good friends, value yourself, and always value your family, man. Thank you, Tony.